Back into another edition of the Fourth Man Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony, as always, and appreciate everyone who's tuning back into the show. We got a busy one for sure. It's been a very busy February, and we also got a great interview on the back end, so we're just going to get right into it. As a lot of you have probably already seen, we got an interview today with Ball Hawks Jaylen Johnson. And before we get into interview, like I said, a lot has happened since the last time we dropped an episode, and we're going to get into all the news updates and everything that's going on in the league and around the league during this long off season. But before we do, as always, just got to remind you guys to make sure you guys are following on all social media platforms, Instagram, X, YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed over there and hitting that notification bell. That would be much appreciated, and it'll be the best way to keep up with everything that's going on with the league as the season vastly approaches. We hopefully are going to start hearing some more about some new additions, which we're going to talk about today, some new additions to the league, and also talk about combine and potential if they do tryouts. We'll hear more about that, as well as hopefully we get to hear more about the draft schedule. And we all know that the season is dropping on June 15th for season 7. So a lot of good stuff coming. We'll also get to know what cities and stuff. So make sure all this to say, make sure you're following on all of our social media platforms so you know when that stuff is happening, up to date. And just want to give a big shout out, as always, to Believe for giving us a platform to talk about the Big Three and just, always supporting us in all our endeavors. We so much appreciated on their end. And let's jump into it. A lot on the agenda today for today's episode. Like I said, it was a very busy February for sure. And let's start with some personnel and player additions, as well as speculative additions to the league. And we'll start with the last time we talked on the show, we announced that Jeff Teague would be joining the league as a player captain. We don't know if it's going to be as a captain for the team or as a co-captain. Well, about a week later, it was announced that Paul Millsap's going to be joining the Big Three. Now, the difference here is that when the Big Three announced that Millsap was joining the league, it didn't say as a captain. So I'm here to believe, and I feel like it'd be in our best interest as a community to believe, is that he's going to be joining the draft and the team is going to have an opportunity to draft him. Now, we've seen big prominent names in the past join this league as a draft prospect, and they don't get picked up all the time. We've seen Steve Blake, we've seen Ty Lawson, we've seen some prominent guys that had successful careers in the NBA, and it's just another name that goes in draft, and we'll never know, necessarily what happens. But Paul Millsap, I feel like a guy who was in the league for a long time, former All-Star, and just a guy that's versatile, which is a Big Three praises versatility. So be shocked if we don't see him on the team. If a team picks him up last minute and he maybe as a co-captain, we'll see. But it's good to have Paul Millsap in the league. I think that's going to be a great addition. I think an underrated signing. Like, we obviously talk a lot about who could be joining the league, and we always want the biggest names that recently stopped playing in the NBA. But Paul Millsap's a guy that had a long, successful career in the NBA for the Hawks, for the Nuggets, for the Jazz. There's so many different eras of Paul Millsap. So I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the table. The other big news about, potential personnel changes that could happen, Paul Millsap's is more definitive. Whereas there's also a rumor, and this is just something that I've heard through the grapevines, that DeMarcus Cousins is going to be joining Trilogy as a co-captain this summer. Now, obviously, there's a lot of excitement around the name Boogie Cousins, especially joining the Big Three. A lot of people think he should still be in the NBA. And when you're kind of putting the pieces together, it makes a lot of sense, right? In terms of how this would happen, how this relationship would form, right? Boogie's got his own show. I can't remember what the show is called, Bully Ball. He's got his own show on All the Smoke Productions, who Steven Jackson, obviously him and Matt Barnes run All the Smoke, so they have the connection there. Steven Jackson's the head coach of Trilogy. Potential changes that are looming for Trilogy, for a team that after, 2 straight years winning a championship, fell in the first round of last year. It's maybe a team, I guess, that's getting a little older, just within their co-captain and captain eras. So, a lot of it makes sense. The connection between Boogie and Stat makes a lot of sense. Boogie's not playing in the NBA right now. He's been playing overseas, still killing it, still has a lot left to offer. Why not give him a shot in the Big Three and get to play stateside and have some of these NBA GMs see him, on a prominent stage, especially as the Big Three continues to grow. Obviously, there's a lot of I think any league would welcome DeMarcus Cousins playing in the league, but not necessarily are all GMs. Obviously, they got scouts all over the world, the NBA, but are all GMs, all scouts always watching what's going on across the pond, overseas, and things like that in comparison to what they can see stateside? Just, from the comfort of their home with these by just, clicking the button, turn on the TV. So Boogie Cousins has been rumored to be joining the Big Three this summer as a co-captain for Trilogy. What does that mean for Trilogy? Well, obviously Flight White's been with the league for 6 years. Was last year his last season? I don't know. I mean, he's been definitely, he's coaching. He's an assistant coach with the Timberwolves. And so maybe he's just focused on coaching, but I don't know if he's just ready to give it up yet. I think also too, just a good captain, GM, additional coach for Trilogy. Then you have Amir Johnson, who's also coaching, has definitely, I felt like, shown a little bit more age just in terms of I feel like sometimes when he gets up, it's you can just tell the knees are feeling it a little bit more maybe. But he, obviously he's had some great seasons with Trilogy. In the 3 seasons, he's won 2 championships. So maybe there's potential replacement there. I think Earl Clark's a staple. I don't think Earl's going anywhere. So I don't know. All this to say, this would be nuts if this happened. Adding a guy like DeMarcus Cousins and adding anyone to the league is obviously good, but adding someone with a name and stature like DeMarcus Cousins, a guy that people still feel like should be in the NBA today, and also Boogie Cousins coming out and saying that he's done with the NBA, he's done trying to sign with a team. I don't know. Maybe the stars are aligned here. It hasn't been officially announced, but the Big Three, especially Jeff Quanitz, the co-founder, has definitely been teasing the idea of a big name that they're about to release in terms of who's joining the Big Three this summer. So could it be Boogie Cousins? Could it be someone else? I don't know. My fingers are crossed. I feel like the information that I got is pretty solid, but at the end of the day, you never know until it's officially released by the league. So be on the lookout. That was announced obviously early in February, but man, something I've really been thinking about and something every day I'm checking. Just going to the Big Three social and being like, it's today the day. It's today the day that Boogie Cousins is finally, Boogie Cousins to the Big Three is finally official. We shall see. We'll wait another day here into March, but still some time early in this offseason. In other news, the Big Three's also been doing a lot of things off the court. A couple big things. One that was recently announced is that the Big Three recently partnered with X. I put Twitter on my notes. It's just so funny. But Big Three recently partnered with X as just another way to watch the Big Three this summer. We've seen the Big Three do this in the past with The Zone, with Triller, with the Fire Network, just as other ways to have the Big Three accessible for fans to be able to watch. I know that not everyone carries CBS, or in the past, not everyone carried Fox Sports 1. So these are just other ways that the league has given people, and fans access to watching these. And now they partner with X. I mean, I think it's a huge opportunity for the Big Three, especially with X, kind of in this I don't want to say evolution stage, but definitely in this restoration stage where they're trying to do things a little bit differently and match different social media platforms from a revenue and what is it called? A content creator. I don't even know the name of these terms, but for content creators to be able to make money in different ways. X has kind of caught on and follow different pathways that other social media platforms are doing out there. And so anyways, in this phase of restoration, they continue to add new things and adopt new ways to make X more exciting again. And now you partner with an up-and-coming league like the Big Three, and not only is it great for X, but also great for the Big Three in the community as well. This is just a way for a lot of people who are constantly on X, and I know a lot of the Big Three community is on X, for people to be able to watch games. Now, I don't know if they'll do it the same as they have in the past, where the 2 big games of the week will be on CBS and the rest of the games will be on the other network that they've been partnered with. But I think this partnership is really good, especially for what both of these organizations and companies are trying to accomplish. And I think it's good for our community, who is like I said, a lot of the community, a lot of you guys out there are on X, and to be able to watch it from X and just experience not only just games, but exclusive content, different types of access from, locker rooms and backstage, behind the scenes kind of things. I think it's going to be really good. So excited to see how everything turns out. I think they've done some good things in the past, but I like this a little bit better. Like in the past, I feel like when you're doing Triller and DAZN and all those things, like you're signing on to a computer or maybe on your phone, and it's just not as user friendly. I feel like with X, it's just you logging into an app, and I hope it's this easy. Logging into an app, tuning in, I guess going to the Big Three's Twitter page, like tuning in from whatever kind of stream or, whatever kind of access that you need to like get in. Like, I'm not really sure how this is going to work. Is X going to give them something like exclusive to where if you go to their page and click on it, it's just going to be like this certain kind of like button you click to be able to access these games? Like, I don't know. Like, this is a collaborative effort here. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited to see how this partnership, plays out for sure. And the other big thing that the Big Three announced is that the former Taco Bell CEO, Mark King, has now joined the Big Three as the chairman of the board. So someone who recently retired as the CEO of Taco Bell, obviously, who's carried Taco Bell to new heights. And everyone, obviously knows Taco Bell, but just like what they've been able to do to like stay on top and grow as a company. Now you add another mind like that to an up and coming league like the Big Three. So we've seen some partnerships within over the past couple of years with the Bring the Fire rule being implemented into the league. We've seen partnerships with Taco Bell, and now we add a former CEO of Taco Bell to the chairman of the board, who's going to be able to bring great ideas and potentially, be able to help sign different partners with the league. I think it's huge for the league. This is just another great mind that you're adding to a league that's continuing to grow and find ways to be innovative and continue to scale, and add just new pieces to the league. So two major moves there in February that I feel like are a little underrated. Maybe I'm not even emphasizing enough how like important and big these can be for the league, but I think as we see the league grow over time, we'll reflect back on 2024 and be like, wow, those were two, pivoting points within the league's like growth and progress. So two big things there. The last thing I wanted to mention here is that the Big Three Street Tour continued. Most recently, they went to Seattle about a week ago. So like at the end of February here, I guess, was it the end of February? End of February. And they went into Seattle. And obviously they started the Big Three Street Tour as just something like another way for the Big Three to keep fans interested during the off season. And this tour started in Los Angeles about a month ago. We saw Team Tilt win at the Surgeon Studios, and then the tour marched on into Seattle, where we saw Team Surgeon win. Big Three Street Seattle. So the second iteration of Big Three Street, Team Surgeon winners. So we got two different winners. It was cool because Team Tilt came to defend their title. Obviously, Team Surgeon did their thing and won it. They partnered up with SneakerCon, which is really cool. Last time they partnered up with something else, I guess, going out with an LA. So just like different ways to be able to continue to bring brand awareness around the Big Three, but partner with Surgeon, Surgeon Studios, and not only get the name out of the Big Three out there, but also too just to be able to give different hoopers an opportunity to play the game of Fireball and play the Big Three style of play, and just put different people on to how things are being done in the Big Three, and just continue to grow this thing in this style of play. So congrats to Team Surgeon. Maybe there's some guys in there that are potentially, we saw LaQuavius Cotton playing within the for Team Surgeon, the team that actually won it for, this past Big Three Street stop in Seattle. And, he was a former Big Three draft prospect, someone I thought that could be drafted to a team last year. So maybe they put some people got some eyes on him, and maybe he's potential, draftee this summer. Who knows? So just, another way to expose not only the league, but for the players themselves. And so all that to be said, that's everything that went on in February. I know that was a lot to cover. I try to do that as quickly as I possibly can. I'm not even sure if I really did it that quickly. 15 minutes, kind of quickly. Kind of went through everything, gave you my thoughts and kind of what's going on. But a lot of exciting things, and I think a lot more exciting things to come. Again, there's supposed to be a huge announcement about another player joining, and then when they drop the draft pool, who knows, which players will be testing the waters and seeing if they can get drafted to a team this summer. We don't even know if we have all the different captains necessarily filled out. I'm still curious about who's all going to return, as captains, as co-captains. One team I'm really curious about is the Aliens with the upcoming Summer Olympics coming and potentially some of those guys playing for their own countries. I don't know. I don't know if Dusan Boer will play for Serbia again this summer. If, Tomislav Ivasev would play for his home country this summer. They're a team that's internationally built, and some of those guys, and obviously they're a lot of guys that are experienced in 3-on-3 basketball on different FIBA tours and whatnot. So guys that could be playing for their home country. So all that to say, I don't know if all the captains are necessarily set yet. I guess we'll find out and see what additions are being made. But the biggest thing is that they've been teasing a big name. So let's see if we get a big name drop here soon. But that's all the news we got for February. A lot of exciting things to come in the month of March here. Again, thank you to everyone who tuned in. I know I kind of went through some things quickly. So if, you want to discuss some of these a little bit more detail, I'm always open to any kind of conversation or people dropping some questions and comments in the comments just to continue the conversation in any way. I always love talking the big three, and I think it'd be a lot of fun just to do some different interactions. Maybe it'd be fun to hop on an IG Live and talk about these things sometimes rather than put it in an episode. Would love to hear people's thoughts if they feel like that would be a little bit more interesting. We could maybe make something like that happen. But all that be said, a lot of good stuff here. Again, thank you to everyone who's tuning back in. Make sure you guys are following on social media. Again, big thank you to Believe and making everything possible and giving us a platform to talk about the big three. And got a really good interview here with Big 3 rookie and Ball Hog's very own Jaylen Johnson. So let's get into our interview with Jaylen. Today on the show, we're excited to have on Louisville alum and Big 3 rookie. I don't know if he's a rookie anymore, but Ball Hog's very own Jaylen Johnson. Thanks again, Jaylen, for taking the time, and welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I appreciate the time. I know you're playing overseas right now, so I appreciate you being flexible with my time. And also, too, noticed that when I was following you on Instagram, and I noticed that you had a little Twitch stream coming up. I know the Big 3 off seasons are a little odd being a year long, but see you're filling it with not only basketball but a little bit of streaming. How long have you been streaming for?
I just started streaming. I'm trying to get better with it. I'm trying to get better with it. So if you know any tips or anybody can help with it, just send them my way. I'm out here in Taiwan for the first time, so I was like, might as well just embark in that.
Yeah, for sure. What do you usually gaming, or what's your kind of go-to?
I'm usually playing Call of Duty or 2K. I've been playing, Spider-Man, things like that out here, just trying new games. But usually just Mortal Kombat, but usually just 2K and Call of Duty for sure, and Madden. Madden for sure.
Okay. All right, makes sense. So you play professional. You're a professional athlete, and you're playing competitively. Are you pretty nice with it?
Yeah, I'm lucky straight. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm lucky straight.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't played 2K in a little while just because it's switched up. They've changed so much on it, but I was never that good anyway, so I'll have to check into the stream sometime. But yeah, want to talk a little bit about your basketball career and kind of how you got to the Big 3 and playing this last summer. First off, I want to start with this. The first time I recognized your highlights was right before the draft. I wasn't familiar that you were going to be a part of the draft, but I had followed a good friend of mine, Jeff, who runs G League TV or GTV Hoops. I know he rebranded, but he had posted a highlight of you and just kind of your game and described you as a big guard and was showing off a lot of your just shot making ability. But really, what I love about your game is just your passing ability. But he described you as a big guard. looking at your career now, where you're at, do you feel like that's a good representation of like your game and kind of how you play?
Absolutely. Like I said, since being younger, I always played like the big guard role. I always like to get my teammates involved, things like that, with flashy passes. And I also can put the ball on the floor, being 6'9", 6'10". I can also score too. So, like I said, it's a mixture of everything. That's why they call me, like I said, big guard. Because a lot of people my size can't really do some of the things I do. But yeah, it's a God-given talent. Like I said, I thank God for everything, because without him, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, and I feel like too, like a lot of times, especially watching college, like a lot of guys, especially big guys, like to post up, and they kind of have tunnel vision. It's all just about seeing a ball to the basket and seeing which post moves you're gonna play. But for you, like you get a little bit more joy out of just like making like a great flashy pass over just posterizing someone, or still like to dunk on people better.
Yeah, sometimes it depends on the flow of the game. Like I say, sometimes I make the pass for somebody else to dunk on somebody, they still feel the same way. But sometimes it gotta be me to be the enforcer to actually dunk on somebody. Like I said, you've seen it before, so you
Yeah.
see it from both ends. You see me passing to the person, you see me dunking on people. So
Yeah, man. I see you can still throw it down too. So you got a little bit of everything, like you said, big guard for. I wanted to see this too because I saw somewhere where your mom was a collegiate athlete and she's a pretty big time shot blocker in her days. Is that, first of all, is that accurate? Because I saw that she had set some records during her time out of like both men and women, and just in terms of shot blocking.
no, that's for sure accurate. Yeah, she had it down to a science. Like I said, she taught me. She put the ball in my hands as a kid. And the thing about it, she always wanted me to be like a big man. That's why I got the ass to get the game too, just being able to block shots, things like that. She always wanted me to be just like a legit big. And all my friends like wanted to dribble the ball between their legs and things like that. So I was like, that was kind of like a advantage I had, just being the best of both worlds. My friends being guards, my mom being elite big amongst guys too. So it helped me a lot for real.
Yeah, just for our listeners, just to put in perspective, your mom was the first woman to lead the nation, both men and women, like shots blocked during like a 4-year tenure. I know that's kind of spaced out now with like COVID and the amount of eligibility people get nowadays, but that's pretty wild. I mean, sounds like she's taught you a lot about the game, just like as you've turned into a professional athlete yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, talk to me a lot. I've seen her play. When I was younger, see her playing against guys doing the same thing. I mean, so like I said, she's pretty dope for sure.
Man, that's cool. And for you, you played at Louisville. You played professionally. You played in the G League. But for you, you decided to play in the Big Three this summer. To me, when I first talked to you and asked you to come on, you mentioned that this summer was like a movie. First off, I want to start there. What made it necessarily like a movie to you this past summer playing in the Big Three for the first time?
Well, like I said, when I first was approached by the Big Three and things like that, I really didn't know what it was like. I just seen what I seen on TV. But like really being in the experience of the Big Three for the first time, it was really dope in all aspects. You know what I'm saying? Just the welcoming from the practices, from like the people who were surrounding it. It just felt, it felt like NBA setting, things like that. We flew the best. Stayed in the best hotel, ate great. It was just like mingling with past guys we played with or guys we watched coming up. It was just, like I said, it was a movie. Like I said, I appreciated every aspect of it. Like sometimes you would have seen me last year walking through the hotel looking like, wow, I'm really playing with such and such, or I'm really in the same room with such and such, or like I said, I'm being coached by Rick Barry, which is dope. I'm just like, man, everything was a movie for sure.
Man, and that's one thing I've loved about this league is no matter where they are as a league, because a lot of people forget it's like 6-7 years in, so like they're essentially like a startup in any other business. Like they've always, at least for the most part, as far as I know, treated their players with like first class, regardless of what situation there is. So that's cool to hear that still like people coming in for the first time are getting that same experience and maybe even better. I mean, this might have been the best season that you were just a part of, and
Yeah.
Every year is obviously going to be better than the other, but like this year, it felt like it was kind of like at that peak, as far as like the Big Three's development.
Yeah.
You were talking a little bit about when you were introduced to the Big Three. Is this something that you've kept up with and kind of watched, in the past, or how were you introduced to the league to where you're like, hey, I'd like my opportunity to try to play in that?
Well, like I said, when the Big Three first ever started, I remember, like I said, when it first ever started, I think I was like, what, probably like 2 years into my career.
2017. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first. Okay, that was like I said, the first year of my pro career. And like, I remember when it first started, I guess I always thought it was a unique league. I thought it was sweet for sure because I grew up watching Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying? And for him to start a basketball league, which was powerful, and like in a lot of communities, it was, like I said, it was dope to me. But like when I got introduced to it, actually it was like the year before last. Like I got a random DM and just was like, come like register for this. I'm first thing I thought it was a fake. I thought it was a fake message. I thought it was fake. I was like, man, what? I was like, you know what? I mean, like I said, I really didn't know too much about it when I first seen it. Then the next year, after my G League season, I had when I had to stint in Uruguay, and one of my teammates called me. He was like, man, I want to try the Big Three, this, and that. He was telling me like details about it. I was just like, huh, for real? It was like that? Like they reached out to me last year, and I looked at it like it's a dope opportunity, but I really didn't pay too much attention to it. And after that, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just try. So I reached back out to the Big Three people, like who was in my DMs. I was like, is the offer still available? And it was like, for sure, like we'd love to have you. And I was like, man, I'd love to be a part of it. And like I said, when I got drafted, I didn't really think I was gonna get drafted. I didn't even. I really forgot about. I'm like, man, am I gonna? I don't know if they're gonna look at me. Next thing you know, they call my name. I was ecstatic. Everybody else was around me was ecstatic. It was dope. Like I said, it was really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy because, well, first off, you got to be careful with any link that's sent your way these days, especially with all these dudes getting hacked and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Can't trust everything you see, but that's cool that they still honored that commitment to you. And it sounds like you weren't even watching the draft. You were kind of just like putting your name and seeing what happened. So I was actually going to ask you, you didn't have any like initial conversations with any of the GMs or captains or coaches or anything like that. It was just more of, you got the call and you're like, I'm drafted.
Yeah, I didn't have any. Like I said, I didn't have any conversation with anybody. I really forgot about everything. Which was so crazy about it because it was I had took a team who was in last place to the championship in Uruguay. Unfortunately we lost it. We lost the championship. But as I'm getting on the plane to come back to the States, like I got a notification like the Big 3 Draft is this and that, the Big 3 Draft. And I was like, all right. I was like, wow, I forgot I put my name in there. They had tagged me. I got on the flight. Next thing you know, like I'm asleep. I fall asleep on the flight. It's a long flight. I wake up and they tell me like I'm drafted, this and that. I was like, wow. I got off the plane, like everybody was like, man, did you got drafted, bro? You about to play with Rick Barry? I was like, that's crazy. Like I'm gonna play with Rick Barry. That was so, like I said, it was mind blowing. But I was like, let's do it. Let's get up and do it. I'm trying to win a championship. Hey, like I said, it was one of the best experiences in my pro career for sure.
What's crazy is that it's almost like, first off, it's like one last place team just had your services and another last place team was calling your name as well. And like, hey, we saw what you did with this team. Well, let's see if we can, you can help us out as well in kind of a grand scheme of things. But what's crazy is that this Ball Hogs community, first off, like big shout out to them. If there's any community that's, if we're ranking communities in the Big Three, Ball Hogs might be number one in the Big Three. I mean, the love that they show and just like the connection they have to players and their fan bases, top notch. But when I was talking to a lot of the guys at Ball Hogs, they feel like they had done a lot of homework on you, like they had scouted you heavily when they saw your name as much as they could. Yeah. And like were really invested in you. Can you just talk a little bit about your first impressions of Ball Hogs, like the community, the ownership group and kind of like the community as a whole?
Yeah, well, like I said, I love the ball hog community, man. My guy John, like I say, Joy, my
Funny
guy
dude.
Rick, like everybody else too. If I didn't mention any names, especially the players, are Rosa, Dewan, Jeff, Jody. Like I say, I appreciate everybody because they welcomed me. It literally felt like, like in this, like when you went to your first college campus and everybody was excited to recruit you and things like that. Like everybody walked like, oh, man, how you doing? John had the utmost excitement. He ran down with like my highlights of my career, things like that. The fans, they were dope. Just meeting them at different cities. You know, we had some unique ones, but like I said, it was for sure dope. A guy who's from Detroit, he's always with us. I forgot his name. You know exactly
The
what I'm talking
we
about.
see greatness guy.
Yeah, that's my guy. We see
Yeah,
greatness. Yeah.
yeah.
How can I forget his name right now? It's early in the song. But
Early in
yeah,
the
we
morning.
see
Yep.
greatness. Like I say, I love his energy. He brought positivity to us every day. Just everybody, like, they was consistent. Like, from our stat guy, he came with the rundown, the player reports, things like that. Like I said, like everybody was hands on. They treated it with seriousness. The fans were like I said, the fans were consistent. Like I said, I appreciated everything. Everything was like I say, top tier, from the
Yeah.
community to the players to the staff. Like I say, everything was definitely top tier. Ran with a lot of organization and just you know.
Yeah. I feel like they're a good example of what we really hope to see from all communities when it gets to that point in time where they're kind of like blazing this path of what a good strong community can look like and what it can do for players like yourself, like creating that experience. But at the same time for you, I mean, you're I don't even know if I would consider you're in the prime of your career yet, like you're still getting to that point, still young. Like
Yeah.
a lot of guys in this league look at this as like an older man's league, or I should say a lot of people outside this league look at it like that sometimes. I know the narrative's changed a little bit as we've adjusted the rules, but there's still not a lot of guys that are, mid to late 20s playing in this league. We've seen Isaiah Briscoe, Elijah Stewart, to name a few. But for you, I mean, you could really play anywhere in the world at this point, and you're still kind of like making a name for yourself in pro basketball. What do you feel like your impact is, like just being kind of one of the younger guys playing in this league and given an opportunity to help grow your career?
Yeah. Well, like I say, when I first heard about, the opportunity, I was definitely like, it's a lot of like guys who are vets or things like that who played and who made names for themselves. Me looking at it, like I say, it's definitely an experience. I soak up what I can from the vets. Like I said, Leandro and Jody and Dewan, like I say, all of them and Jeff, they always they're like big brothers to me now. Like they help me and give me tidbits that I would get if I was like on the NBA floor, things like that. You know what I'm saying? They even encourage me to still try the NBA, things like that, because they're like, man, NBA team can use me now. They like how I play. So like I say, looking forward, I look at the league as even a help to even grow my career. Just being around those guys. Playing under their different personnel. Most of them are on NBA staff, things like that. So it's like just learning from that and taking what I learned from the summer you know, into my official season. Like I say, I feel like it's a good help too, like things like that. I feel like it can really take me. Being in front of those people, it can, who knows? It can put me in the same room with anybody. Like you said, I can play anywhere. I think it's a possibility I can still play in the league, play in the Big
Yeah,
Three,
for sure.
or high level Europe, China, things like that, because those guys are connected to them places, and you know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
like they have a hand in those places. So the right person to see me, or just around the right person, you never know who I can get a call from. So
Yeah, man. It would be dope to see you too. Make just have like some kind of career year in the big three down the line or whatever the case may be. Lead you to another opportunity, especially if it's the NBA. So
yeah.
you said you got a lot of good advice from those guys. What do you feel like was the best piece of advice? That might be hard to come up with all the experienced guys you had on your team, but what do you feel like was the best piece of advice you got this summer?
basically always stay ready. Like stay ready and stay focused. Like when it's time to get between those lines, stay ready and stay focused. Even off the course, stay ready and stay focused. You never know. Like you never know when your time will be coming. And like I said, I learned that from those guys, and I really kept that with me because, like I said, you never know. Like even examples out there, I was on the bench most of the time in the game, and then key moments to get us to where we had to go. They used me. If I wasn't ready, I wouldn't be able to. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be able to help the team. So listening to those guys staying ready, just staying cheerful on the sidelines, and then until my time comes, because it's gonna come. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't look at it like, oh yeah, these guys are. I can do this, I can do that in the court. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta look at it like I'm on a court with pros, vets, and like high IQ guys. They know like in the high IQ coach. So when it's my turn, when it's my time to help the team, like I say, stay ready and be able to provide what the team needs from me. And I feel like that helps me all the way till now because even in like the Asian Basketball League, it's like you never know. You might have 31 night, and they might want to go. You feel me? Another way to see something. So you might be like, why are they doing this to me? But no, you can't think like that because positivity carries. Basically, staying ready just carries throughout like even life period. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah, that's good recognition. I was actually going to ask you about that because it's already a pretty short season, and especially for you coming in. I mean, at the end of the day, it's basketball, right? But like you're still making adjustments to like, especially coming from one, pro stop to another, making the adjustment to, not playing as much, playing at crucial times in the games and things like that. Was it tough to like kind of make those adjustments and, acclimate yourself into the league, or is that kind of like advice and mindset help you in certain situations when, you did shine to help your team down the stretch to win?
Yeah. Like I said, at first, being younger, it was definitely an adjustment because, like I said, I just came back from playing, like sitting the whole game, things like that, or even playing in the G League. So I'm thinking he's going to look at me like, oh, he's a younger guy. We can use him more. It was an adjustment at first because I wasn't playing as much, but then I had to start looking at it as like, listen, I'm playing. These guys have a high rank in this league. These guys have a high rank in the world. I'm playing against Jody Meeks. He's on the same team with Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing against Leandro Barbosa, the Blur. I'm playing against DeJuan Summer, the certified bucket, Jeff Ayers, the NBA champion. You know what I'm saying? So once I started looking at it like that, I'm like, okay, man, I'm on the same team with these guys. I'm playing on a Hall of Fame under a Hall of Fame coach. Like he's a Hall of Famer. He's literally, you can look him up in the Hall of Fame. Like it's like. I'm like, man, I just gotta wait my turn because if these guys accept to be on their team, obviously they see something in me that is greatness because I'm on a team full of greatness. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
for sure.
Once I start dialing that type of mindset in my brain, it was just, it kind of was like it kind of looks like a six man on my bench, like help me out when I needed it, like mentally. You know what I'm saying? Help my mental stay never too high but too low. Like I couldn't be mad that I wasn't playing the most of the game because I was learning. You know what I'm saying? This was my first year and I'm learning.
Yeah.
Do the game. They knew even the ball was different. And I had to really sit back and see that first. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. No, that's like super good awareness just to have, for you just as like a younger guy too, just to recognize the type of people, like the type of players that are on your team and the experience that they have. And obviously you came up in huge moments multiple times, especially late when Coach Barry trusted you to just, kind of finish the game out and close out some wins. Speaking of Coach Barry, I've met him a couple of times. He's been on the show. Got a chance to have lunch with him before a game when we were in, I think, Miami. He's a character for sure. He's a character. Sure. He's a great guy. But he's very, direct and just, himself, which you got to love for sure. But first time you met him, what was kind of the first impression of Rick Barry and him just being your coach? And what were kind of the things he was telling you in terms of like your role and what would it be?
Well, like I said, my first time I met him, it was kind of like a starstruck moment. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, I'm really on the same team with Rick Barry. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really on the same. You know what I'm saying? That was the first thing. The second thing, like he kind of. I played with his son. That's the thing that's like a lot of people don't know. I played with his son, so he kind of knew like some of my strong suits to my game. You know, he kind of knew like people like people wouldn't expect me to do this, but like I've watched those games. I watch like people don't. That's why they like some people call me a big guard. He exploited my passing. It was a thing like that. Like he exploited my passing. He was like, man, I just love how you pass. Like I watched you play with my son, and I used to hit him on the back door all the time. Just boom, right on the. He like it was even dope for him saying like him even knowing like a strong suit to my game. That was like wow, that was just like heartwarming. Like wow, a Hall of Famer really studied your game. But it's like he told me coming on the team, like basically like I'm not gonna be in all those minutes. Like these guys are, you know, like I say, like I just explained, these guys are who they are. You feel me like that? So your best thing is to learn from them and stay, like I said, stay ready. Because when your time comes, we're gonna need you to. We gonna need your strong suits of your game to help us get past there. And like sure enough, he was right. When my time came, I exploited my strong suits that we talked about, and it helped us win games.
Yeah. Is his son? I think you're talking about Canyon, correct? When you
Yeah,
play with him in the G League.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Canyon anything like Rick?
Yeah, for sure they are. I ain't gonna lie, they're a lot alike. They look alike. You know? they, like I said, yeah, they're definitely like. I feel like Canyon to be a depiction of his dad when he gets older, for sure.
That's funny, man. I know I said it at the beginning, but I really love your game. Like I think multiple times, like the passes you were making were insane, even in a 3-on-3 setting. Just kind of the backdoor king and just making the extra pass. There was one game where you caught it in the post. You probably could have put it up for an easy layup, but you just had like the recognition to know that Jody was behind you for a better shot to make a three. Like, I just feel like your game is like really suits not only just this league, but like how basketball should be played. And for you, like, you had some big moments, not only on passing, you had a big time oop that you caught this year, but would you say there was like a favorite moment that you had throughout your first year in the Big Three?
Yeah, like of course the dunk for sure. That was dope. I ain't gonna lie, the energy in that dunk was dope. But like I say, people will like take this for granted, but just even guarding Joe Johnson, that was probably like the highlight of my Big Three. Like, you know, just wow, I'm guarding Joe Johnson, and it was crazy when I stopped him. Like he was trying to ISO, he looked at me like, oh yeah, it's that, and I was like, I put it in my head like, hey, I know you Joe Johnson, but I'm Jaylen Johnson. If you gonna score, I'm gonna make it hard. Like I ain't gonna be nothing easy. So I got that stop, and it was like it wasn't really show, but it was like inside. I was like, yeah, I belong. I ain't gonna lie, because Joe was frying everybody in there, like frying everybody. When I got that stop, I was like, oh yeah, I belong for sure. Like I ain't gonna lie, it didn't even feel like a Big Three. It felt like I was in the NBA, like playing the Nets or something. Like I had got in mode. When I got to stop, I was like, wow, hey, I just got to stop with Joe Johnson. Hey, yeah. A lot of people can't score me. A lot of people ain't score me if I can stop with Joe Johnson even now. That's what I'm saying. So, hey, he didn't even know that, but yeah, that was the highlight of my Big Three.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you're kind of maybe foreshadowing to the future, you know, potentially looking at what's to come. You know, once you're in the NBA, you know, one day stopping guys like Joe Johnson or his old teammates or things like that. So
sure,
maybe peeking to the future. And for you, like you had mentioned that you were just playing in Uruguay where you helped the last place team make it all the way to the championship game. Not exactly the same thing in the Big Three, but like you made history with the Ball Hogs, a team that has repeatedly just had a lot of challenges and hardships and trying to find wins. And this year they had the most wins ever. You guys were a 500 team for the first time in their history. What do you feel like made this team so successful? Like you were a first time guy, you know, they had a couple of changes, and a couple of, you know, staples on their team. But what do you feel like made this team so successful to be able to have their first, 500 season?
Like I say, coming in, just seeing other teams and seeing us, like I feel like we put egos aside. Like I said, we put our names aside. We put what we thought we should be doing, and we put more like what should be done for the team from each role. And I feel like every game had their role, and they brought it to the max. Some games didn't go how we wanted to. Some games they had to get the rest involved, but I feel like consistently every game, people fulfilled their roles. and they did it in a like I said in a well thought manner. Like I said, and everybody was playing for each other too. If somebody had the hot hand, we went back to him every time. It didn't matter who had the most points. We really didn't care that much about that. Like I said, you seen Jody going off sometimes. We kept going back to him. If Leandro was going off sometimes, we kept going back to him. We cleared the lane for him. I mean, if Juwan was going off, we kept getting him shots, things like that. Even when Jeff was going off the first game, we kept getting him shots. But I feel like we played unselfishly. We played for one another, and it helped us go as far as possible. And I feel like even next year, I feel like we can go. The sky's the limit because we care about seeing the next person play good. You know what I'm saying? Putting each other in the right positions. You know what I'm saying, to succeed.
Yeah, man, it really showed throughout the year. That's a great point. Like, I felt like you guys did just a good job at feeding the hot hand and letting those Eagles, like, you know, putting them behind you and things like that. So, I mean, it was like you said, it was like a movie. It's always, you know, even for me, I try to be super objective, but it's always good to just see like ball hogs win. You want to see those teams that haven't had success yet just kind of like rise to the top after they've, you know, had challenges like they've had in the past. So, man, it's cool to see and dope to see the ball hogs community. Let me ask you, because there's a lot of talk right now about like a one-on-one. What if they were to have a one-on-one competition and like who would be a part of it? But you know, the big three, they have it pretty much every game with the bring the fire rule and being able to dispute foul calls. What are your thoughts on the bring the fire rule, and what would be your ideal bring the fire scenario?
I like it. I like when they do the ring of fire. It show your one-on-one skill. I give you an opportunity to showcase your skill in front of like a lot of fans. And like I said, it shows who wants it. Like, I mean, if they add some more to it, okay, cool. But I like how it is. You know, it brings that grit factor. You know what I'm saying? And everybody, even the fans, they be like, "Well, who gonna get it? Who gonna get it?" And I feel like it brings excitement to the fans. It even brings excitement to us on the floor. Getting that stopper, getting that one bucket, like you got one chance to stop this guy. So even if y'all was going at it the whole game, or you fouling each other and knucking up the whole game, you got that one possession to go at it. Either I'm gonna stop you or I'm gonna score on you. You feel me? You strap up now. We see what a man made of. You know what I'm saying? So,
who would you like to go against, whether it's just offensively or defensively? I know you mentioned Joe was you know, kind of like a dream come true scenario, but in a bring the fire 1v1, who would you like to go against or lock down?
I ain't gonna lie, you can give me everybody. I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like everybody in there gotta feel my presence. But yeah, like I say, probably my boy Isaiah Austin. For sure, just because that's my big bro. Him or Quincy, they're my big bros, and just to shut them up, you know, just to shut them up.
Yeah, you gotta shut the champs, yeah.
Yeah, just to shut them up, man. Because I know if I'm in a ring of fire with them after the game, they're gonna let me have it. So yeah, just those. They know what's up. You know what I'm saying? They know what's going on. You always do in the summer things like that. So yeah, throw the ball out. Throw the ball
out. Man, I would love to see that. And for you, last couple questions here, but for you, is your plans to play in the Big Three again next summer?
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm ready to win the whole championship. I feel like we do it too. So hey, that's my plans.
Yeah, I asked that question because you know the Big Three is weird, where the team that wins it all, and then the runner up, you know, they have an opportunity to keep their teams, whereas like every other team, they are kind of like redrafting players that aren't their captains. That's not to say that the Ball Hogs wouldn't pick you back up, but I feel like for many teams out there who just saw you play and your versatility, you know, as a scorer, as a passer, you might have just, you know, upped your draft stock a little bit throughout the year without you even knowing. What would you know, it sounds like you want to be back with Ball Hogs, but, you know, there could be other teams coming to call for your services there next year, even higher in the draft.
Well, like I said, any team, like I said, I love the Ball Hogs, appreciate the Ball Hogs, but if there's a point that I didn't get picked back up, any team who picks me up, I feel like we're gonna make some noise. Like I'm gonna be that factor for sure to help people win games and have a chance at the championship. And whatever team it's got to be, it doesn't matter. Like, that's just the energy I'm bringing. You know what I'm saying? And that goes for everything. Like any team who's even thinking about drafting me.
Yeah, I think the community would definitely be sad to see you not on the team again. So they might just pick you back up and.
Oh man, I be sad, but hey.
But yeah, the dope thing about the Big Three, and I want to get your thoughts on this. A lot of players that I've had on this show and even talked to in person, I feel like obviously it's great to play basketball. There's a lot of pros to playing in the Big Three, like you said, playing with different Hall of Famers, experienced guys, playing in different venues, playing in the States, which not every player gets to do. But a lot of people enjoy like off the court things, whether it's just the guy like hanging with the guys or whatever the case may be. What's kind of your favorite moment off the court this past summer and just, getting to hang out with a bunch of these guys?
Like I say, every time we have the welcoming party, just being able to kick it with all those people, like be around Ice Cube, being able to talk to Ice Cube, things like that. One of my favorite times was I don't know what hotel we was at exactly, but when Pinky was there, what's his real name? I forgot his real name. The actor.
I'm trying to think of his name. Yeah, I'm trying to think of his real name.
Yeah, I forgot his real name. It's gonna come to me. Man, I forgot his real name.
I'm trying to think of it too. I feel like I can't even think of people's real names. I just know them by their.
It's gonna come to me, but just being in the room with him and Ice Cube, that was kind of dope because being younger as a kid, I watched plays. Like I watched him since he was in plays before he was like on big movies and things like that. So just seeing him, his story, his timeline has come up, and just see how great he is. Being like I said, just being in the room, you never know who you might come be around. Like I said, everybody enjoyed each other. Everybody just getting to know each other, things like that. Being around those stars, and everybody being so humble. You know what I'm saying? Just that energy is just. It's priceless energy. You don't see that everywhere. You don't see that every day. So just being a part of that welcoming party and things like that, just even before, like being around, like watching other teams play and you seeing everybody on the sidelines, you never know. You might look up and Dr. J might be there one day. You never know. Like you never know. So just that aspect of just that you can just the thought of that. You can any day you can just run into anybody. And they be down to earth like that. I say it's probably a great thing, like one of my parts of it. Sure.
Man, that's cool. It's really wild out there. It's just like you said, just like people coming up and walking around. And at the end of the day, everyone's just a regular person, but just how down to earth people are in comparison to how you see people when you don't know them. It's pretty dope. So it's the Big Three as a whole, just having that platform, just being able to offer all that is just cool. Last thing here, and I'll let you catch some Z's, but we've seen the early offseason news of Jeff Teague joining, of Paul Millsap joining. There's been some rumors about Boogie potentially joining the league. What are your thoughts of just the league continuing to grow? And do you have anybody that you'd like to go up against potentially next summer that hasn't played in the league yet, like that you'd like to see in the league?
I would definitely like to see Boogie for sure. Mm-hmm. I would like to watch Brandon Jennings. I heard there was rumors he might join.
Oh man!
If he got in there, I definitely want to see him or Sebastian. Sebastian's been in the league, hasn't he?
No, he hasn't. That'd be crazy.
No. Yeah, that'd be dope. Yeah, Sebastian Telfair for sure. That'd be sweet. That'd be sweet for sure. Yeah, that'd be dope.
Man, yeah, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. You never know. You could be on a team with any of these dudes.
I know for sure. That'd be dope. Just hearing about their stories, hearing about their, I know they got some stories to tell. I love hearing them guys and people like I love watching as a kid. Sebastian for sure. That he was OD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Facts. Yeah, those locker room conversations. I've never been a part of them, but based on how everyone leaves the locker rooms and just the excitement that a lot of people talk about, it sounds like that's one of the better that's one of the better moments. Just cross collaborating with teams and stuff. So excited to see you back in the league this summer. I'm hoping you get a bigger role this summer and just to kind of showcase your game and stuff. But best of luck playing overseas. Stay healthy, stay safe, and excited to see you back in the Big 3 this summer and appreciate the time.
Man, thank you for having me, man. It's dope, man. I ain't gonna lie, I always wanted to be on the fourth pod. The fourth man pod.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks. Glad we can make it happen.
All right, my guy. Thank you, man.
Okay, well, that was our interview with Ball Hawks Jaylen Johnson. Just want to give him a big shout out as he was super flexible coming onto the show and allowing us to just talk to him for 30 to 45 minutes while he's playing overseas. So appreciate your time, Jaylen. It was really fun to just sit down and have the conversation and hear about how you thought the Big 3 was like a movie for you. Like that's such a cool thing to hear, especially for some of the younger guys who I don't feel like obviously they want to play in like different countries and play for like prime leagues, and I guess don't always look at the Big 3 as like, or consider the Big 3 as like necessarily like a prime league, or they want to play in like 5-on-5 league, whatever the case may be, like being like they're up and coming and trying to get to the prime and trying to make it to the NBA, whatever the case may be. So I really appreciate just people's like awareness and self-motivation to like play in the Big 3 and not only like kind of pioneer different things, but also to just understand like it's an opportunity to really grow and learn and, have an opportunity to just like take advantage of a lot of things and a lot of people within the league. So really cool to hear that from you, Jaylen, and hope to see you again next summer. Again, thank you to everyone who's tuned back in. A big thank you to Believe for always supporting the show. Make sure you guys are following on all social medias. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and hit the notification bell. And with that, we'll see you guys